Hello and welcome back to the AI with Maribel Lopez program. I'm Maribel Lopez. I'm at AWS reInvent. I'm really excited to be here with Susmita Murupaka. We are here to talk about what's going on with AI. Susmita, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Maribel.
I've been excited to have you here because there's so much going on with our enterprise buyers right now related to AI. They are talking about perhaps running large models on site, foundation models, looking at AI agents, complex workloads. So I'm wondering what you're seeing as demand trends for infrastructure right now.
Great question. As we speak to our customers are telling us that they have certain in-house language models or foundation models that have to be deployed or run within certain geographic boundaries to meet data residency requirements. Also, there are certain applications that needs to be processed locally to meet their latency requirements. In order to support these AI/ML challenges which customers have, they would like to deploy their applications in distributed locations like AWS Local Zones, Outposts, and dedicated local zones, especially in the location where the AWS region is A, not available in that geographic location, or B, tens of hundreds of miles away, which cannot comply with their performance or latency requirements.
It makes total sense. So we've been seeing a lot of regulated industries. We've actually seen a large movement in different geographies around sovereign AI and wanting to make sure that their data is resident in those areas. There has been a lot of talk in our client base about, we were on the road for a couple of months talking to enterprise buyers, and there's just been a lot of discussion of the practicality of wanting to run AI in a distributed environment. So from your perspective, you're also talking to a lot of customers. We've seen that they're having challenges. What do you recommend as some of the things that they should think about as they're looking to do these distributed environments? What are some of the infrastructure requirements or thoughts that they need to consider?
In order to answer that question, Maribel, we first need to understand what type of AI workloads that they want to run. Is it training, fine-tuning, or inferencing? Second, where do they want to run them?
Right.
Let's take a look at it in a step-by-step fashion. First, customers want to pre-process their data, which might have sensitive information or PII information, which has to be pre-processed on the data where it is generated or stored.
That makes total sense.
Especially in our customers in regulated industries like banking and healthcare. Our customers have been using an AWS Outpost or local zone for such scenarios wherein they need to anonymize the PII information before sending it to an AWS local zone for training. Fine. We have the data, clean data ready. Now customers have two choices. One, they want to train their own model, or they want to use a foundation model and fine-tune based on their requirements. Now, we recommend our customers to use AWS Regions for training and fine-tuning and select local zones. You might ask why. Here are the two reasons. Number one, AWS Regions provides the best data center design in terms of networking, liquid cooling, where we support the GB200 P60 Ultra clusters in AWS Regions and select local zones, that is Dallas and Atlanta. Second, AWS Regions provide the best unit economics to run this massive training and fine-tuning workloads in terms of providing a wide variety of choice of compute, storage, and instance family types like Trainium and the P-instance family types, and the massive compute capacity for them to execute their workloads at scale.
I think there's so many different dimensions that you mentioned there, starting with networking and moving all the way up. There's a lot of different choices that an organization has to think about when they're selecting a partner. And actually some of the other stuff you mentioned about, training and fine tuning. And there were some interesting AWS announcements at reInvent as well about how to help people bring their own data and create, better models for themselves that really know their industry, that, are not going to be also just the more generic foundation model. So there's a lot of activity going on in this space for kind of making AI your own. And AI your own can be, AI in your facility with Outpost or things of that nature, or it could be AI in terms of how you're thinking about the models. You also mentioned the wonderful GPUs, and there's so many, but actually a lot of organizations we talk to also have their own GPUs. What happens in the case of that? Can they bring their own GPUs, or how does that work?
Yeah, but before going into there, let's come back to your point, to previous point on the inferencing.
Yeah.
So till date, we have talked about how customers can train and fine tune. But after that, their models are ready to be deployed.
Yes.
At distributed locations. That can be an AWS region, local zone, or an outpost. Now, in addition to that, our customers also want to do retrieval augmented generation, aka RAG.
Big topic in the space
Big
right
topic
now.
in the space. And is there any podcast without talking about RAG?
I don't think so.
All right.
Not if you're really going to try to make something, the first stage, I think, for any organization making AI their own model is to think about how to do RAG, right?
Exactly. So from AWS, we always offer customers multiple choices. Here, there are two choices again. Number one, customers can have local RAG, or second, they can have hybrid RAG. Let's dive deep into it. First, local RAG. Our customers have been deploying model artifacts and the front-end applications locally within a geographic boundary of their choice to comply with, again, data residency or data sovereignty requirements. That is local RAG. The second model our customers are also deploying is hybrid RAG. In hybrid RAG, our customers use Bedrock agents for orchestration and Lambda functions with domain logic, wherein if there are any prompts which contain sensitive information or PII data, then those prompts are sent to a location like a local zone or an outpost where the prompts are processed. The rest of the prompts are directed to an AWS region. So this way, our customers have choices whether they want to deploy local RAG or hybrid RAG and improve their prompt outcomes based on their requirements.
And as you noted, it's not really binary, right? The thing that's so great about where we are in the space right now is there's been a healthy recognition of choice based on what the workload is, based on the actual requirements of the workload. So not all workloads are created equal in terms of latency, in terms of regulatory requirements. So having a portfolio where you can help people select what's the best place to do certain workloads and not have them make, artificial trade-offs, I think is a really great advancement in the space that we've been looking at right now. But GPUs, everybody's got them. Where do they go? Can we still use them?
Great point. GPUs, yes, favorite topic. Our customers have on-premise GPU clusters. Now, what do they do when they move to cloud? Well, again, AWS has choices.
We like that. That's the word of the day, folks.
Choices. Number one, EKS hybrid nodes. It allows you to deploy your on-premise GPU clusters as self-managed worker nodes and extend your EKS control plane from an AWS region to a local zone or an outpost to your on-premise environment. This allows customers the choice to bring in their own GPUs.
So we were talking about bring your own GPUs. We talked about EKS and hybrid nodes. We also heard today about AI factories. How does that fit into all of this?
Great question. Did you hear about it in the keynote?
Yes.
Great, thank you. As Mark Garvin mentioned in the keynote speech at AWS Region 2025, some customers, governments specifically, and large organizations are leaning to scale AI projects, and some are turning into the concepts of AI factory to address their data sovereignty needs.
Okay.
And by building a high performance AI factory, our customers are willing to own the massive data management, storage, compute, and want to have the control over the AI deployments. In order to facilitate those customers' asks, we have launched AI factories, which allows customers, enterprises and governments specifically, with dedicated AWS AI infrastructure that can be deployed in their own data centers.
It's a big deal.
It is.
Big new announcement. Another great flexibility and choice option, actually. I know that when we were talking about distributed workloads, there's also this discussion of anonymization. Can you tell us a little bit about how AWS thinks about that?
Yes, as it is the first step in customers running AI/ML workloads. For pre-processing, especially for our customers in regulated industries like banking,
Yep, makes sense.
healthcare,
Right.
or telco, they want to pre-process the data in the geographic boundaries where it is stored or generated. And they want to anonymize the data, like pre-process the data, desensitize it with the PII information before they send it to an AWS region. For that, if there is no AWS region in that geographic boundary, then a local zone or an outpost
okay.
comes to rescue.
That's how it happens. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's something increasingly that we've been thinking about as we think about data in general and what data strategies are. That's sort of one of the first things that you have to nail so that you feel that you're compliant, right? So makes a lot of sense. I guess there's so much going on in this space. Are there particular use cases or verticals that you see? We talked a little bit about healthcare and banking, that this type of distributed infrastructure makes sense for.
When we think about running AI/ML workloads at edge, there are a variety of use cases.
So many.
As you already called out, banking, healthcare, industrial automation, robotics, energy, public sector,
Yes.
and retail, media entertainment, and betting and gaming. While there are so many diverse use cases which our customers are deploying, let's talk about 3 key use cases.
Okay. I like that. We like 3s in the analyst world, by the way, so that's a perfect number.
Let's talk about banking customers. Bank Center Credit is a Kazakhstan-based company. As we talked about earlier, they anonymize their PII data from their chatbot before sending it to S3 in the parent region for further training or fine-tuning. They use AWS Outposts to work on the pre-processing of the data, and then the rest all is sent to the AWS region once the PII information is removed to comply with the regulatory demands of the customers' workloads in which they operate.
I love this use case because it gets to 2 things, right? And in one way, you're doing a very personalized experience, but then you have the ability to actually make the whole process better by anonymizing the data and then using all that data to help fine-tune and train and really get to like your next stage of evolution in your product. So that's always, but these are sensitive things, right? So how do you do that in a way that works both for your business use case to want to create better, more personalized services, but also complies with regulation, which is not always very easy when you put those 2 things together, right?
That's what AWS provides, the best of both worlds.
See, there you go.
Choices.
Choices. Here we go. Word for the day. Choices.
Choices.
All right, give me another example.
Let's talk about from banking, let's go to retail. We are partnering with Qualcomm and SoftServe to build an edge AI toolkit. What does it do? Maribel, you walk into a grocery store. Have you ever tried those cool glasses?
Yes, I have tried many variants of cool glasses over the years that do augmented things. Yes.
Augmented reality. So you put on those glasses, walk into a grocery store, and then we are partnering with Qualcomm, Snapdragon, which runs on-device inferencing for AR, VR, visual and spatial compute.
The edge, the
Edge,
end edge.
and use local zones to deploy the LLM for inferencing and provide low latency responses, because you're asking what's the best ingredients to cook lasagna. You don't have minutes to wait for the response.
Loading.
So this hybrid edge inferencing helps shoppers have real-time experience in meal prep and navigation, and reduce the time to find things in a store and use it for learning a new hobby or spend time with your loved ones.
I love that. We've been talking for a long time about how do we remove barriers from shopping experiences as an example, and the move into real time and taking this concept, like we're all starting to get really accustomed to assistance in our day-to-day life on our phones or on the laptop. We have little sidebars where you can type in natural language information. So how do you actually take that to the real edge where people are out and interacting with the world? So that makes a lot of sense. So we've had a banking example. We've had sort of a retail edge example. What other things do you think would be interesting?
Let's talk about public sector. Our defense customers run real-time inferencing at the edge to improve mission outcomes. They use AWS Modular Data Centers and AWS Outposts to build their applications and inferencing closer to wherever their users are. And on top of it, AWS provides consistent developer experience. They can use the same CI/CD pipelines of their choice, be it CloudFormation, Terraform, and they don't have to train specifically for deploying at the edge. They build once and deploy wherever they want in an outpost, local zone, or a dedicated local zone.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think there's a lot of different places that we could extend to in the public sector. So thank you for those 3 examples, and I think that you can sort of see the breadth and depth of how distributed an AI can be anywhere with a number of different verticals. Okay, once organizations have foundational models deployed, what are you seeing as some of the key challenges in running this distributed AI infrastructure and workloads for organizations?
I'm glad you asked that question. The key challenge which I've heard from our customers is that in distributed environments, where's my capacity? Where are my workloads? Are they in local zone, outpost, regions? And topology-aware capacity orchestration really is being called out as a key challenge. And specifically, it's more pronounced in the edge locations where the capacity is limited.
Makes sense.
No. To address these challenges, we have a solution and choice. We have partnered with NVIDIA Run AI to extend the support of it into a local zone, outpost, or EKS hybrid nodes, or a dedicated local zone.
So for those that might not be familiar with NVIDIA Run AI, can you explain what that is and what it means for AWS?
Absolutely. NVIDIA Run AI is a Kubernetes native AI platform for orchestrating AI workloads and optimizing GPU resources. It helps customers optimize GPU resources from 25 to over 75%.
Well, that seems to be a significant improvement. And back on our discussion about choices, Sugmita, I want to thank you for the time that you spent with us today. But before I let you go, I just want to know if you have any closing comments for the audience.
Train and inference at AWS region or select local zones, and inference at edge or wherever you need it by providing
Choice?
choice.
Choices one last time. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe. And we look forward to seeing you next year back at AWS reInvent.